Hey everyone, my name is Steven, and today we're going to be reading some malicious compliance stories. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Manager clichés himself into oblivion. Context: I had posted a while back about my amazing time working at Denny's, and today I caught up with a buddy that used to work with me and remembered our last fun experience there and decided to share. And heads up, current manager was just overall rude to all of staff, so consider this also payback. A well-liked employee was having a big birthday party since she was turning 21 and invited everyone to go out that weekend with her. I was told they had a fun time and it went on all night from Friday to well into Saturday. I didn't go because sadly I worked all weekends and couldn't ditch work. The result was a good amount of the staff wasted, hungover, and just tired. Needless to say, that Saturday night and Sunday morning, a lot of the employees called in sick or simply didn't show up. I had a 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift Saturday night and a 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift Sunday. At the end of the Saturday shift, which was absolute chaos, most of the kitchen was a complete mess, and a lot of the produce was missing or needed to be portioned. Come Sunday morning, and Buddy and I find the kitchen just how we left it, in the same mess, and more than that, only us two as cooks till about 2 p.m. when swings started coming in. We asked the manager to see if he can call up some other cooks, or maybe if he can bring it up to the GM or district manager to have employees from a nearby or other Denny's back us up, but he didn't care to help at all and ignored our asking for help. Buddy and I were both tired and angry about the beating we had received the previous day and how we were barely struggling to keep up with the orders, so we were complaining at each other about it and the manager overheard. At one point, I guess he was just tired of hearing us complain about the lack of help, while he sat nearby without bothering to help, and just let loose in the kitchen. It was a long rant that I didn't bother paying attention till the end, which ended with, "If you don't like it, you can leave." Awesome! So he storms into the office to hide in AC while we were stuck with about 10 tickets down and more orders coming in, and Buddy and I talked over what the manager had said. Malicious compliance, here we go. Buddy was working there just to kill time since he came from a well-established family and he didn't have any responsibilities. On my side, I had 2 jobs and was single at the time and figured, screw it, I can make do until I find another job. We decided to wait a bit and let a few more orders stack up to make sure the kitchen was really backed up, and decided to walk to the office together and hand in our aprons. The manager, wide-eyed and confused, asked what happened and where we were going. At this point, I felt like the memory and emotion of not being able to do anything every time I heard that stupid cliche expression built up and let out with a big sigh of relief. Well, I don't really like it, so I'm leaving, and walked away while Buddy just smiled and waved off the rest of the staff. I was told by another employee that the manager was going nuts trying to work in the kitchen because he was alone for about 4 hours and couldn't handle it, and that it became a messy show with many of the customers complaining about how the food was coming out. Overall, not sure of the details of what had happened since I was no longer working there, but within a month, that manager was no longer working there, and God, did it feel good. I gotta say, being able to serve some of that revenge back on a situation like that must have felt so incredibly good. I get back at my violin teacher for blaming me for everything. I, 18M, have been playing violin for around about 11 years. Almost always had fun with it and was always on relatively good terms with my violin teacher, even though she is known for being very strict, and I heard a lot of people quitting because they can't work with her. Although she was strict, she was mostly fair with only some minor things I could really complain about. Until one day, I got handed sheets that were scribbled on the day I got them. This is completely okay and the sheet is still readable, plus the scribbles were notes that indicated how to use the bow, up bow or down bow, basically just from which to which side to use the bow and yada yada. When we started practicing, she changed a lot of the notes and as usual wrote new ones to the sheet with new instructions on how to play certain parts. She always does that when there is a part that can be simplified for pupils or just sound better like that. But every week at practice, she changed some of the already changed notes again. This was very annoying since you practice and get used to these and changing them is always bound to confusion at first. But the real problem started when there were so many things crossed out and overwritten that I could barely read what I was even meant to do. At this point, I should tell you that these notes were mostly simplistic symbols and numbers and not even words or whole sentences, but there were so many of them. I started playing things wrong due to me not knowing what the heck I was even supposed to do and her changing things mid-practice, which made her very annoyed. Even more annoyed than at times when I barely practiced and played really badly. She corrects me on several things where I was 100% sure I got them the way I was told, but she just didn't care and scribbled even more on my sheets. At this point, I got annoyed too. There were just so many things she blamed me for. Every time I told her, she just told me to buy my own sheets if I'm unsatisfied with them, which I neither had the money, sheets for big concerts can be expensive, or the nerve to do. Fast forward to concert. Shortly before the concert started, I had several questions about specific parts again and wanted them cleared before we play since we had 200-ish people in the audience and I didn't want to mess up. She just told me that, "We have been over this, just play what is written." Cue the malicious compliance. I did exactly what she told me to do. I played what was written down, always just choosing the most seeable symbol if I could. I was so darn out of the rhythm of others, and it was clearly seeable even for people who don't know much about playing violin. Now the best part is not even me messing up, but since I was the oldest player, except for my teacher, I was also the lead at the front and many younger players looked at me if they were unsure if they were out of tact or not. The whole section of first violins fell apart since others who didn't even look at me got unsure of what to play, due to everyone else being a mess. We played till the end, but when it was over, many people were confused and the clapping started way too late, which is never a good sign. My teacher was fuming. She asked how the heck I messed up so badly later, and I told her exactly what I did, playing what was written, and showed her my sheets again. I was planning to quit for a long time now, and the next week I did. Although it is sad to go like that, it was most definitely worth it. I have to say, I think this teacher had it coming. You gotta be a little bit more organized and be able to work with the people you're teaching. It's so incredibly frustrating to me to have somebody in a teaching position so irritable and unorganized, and it just leads to a mess, which I totally applaud OP for this one. Refuse to contribute to the coffee fund? No more coffee then. I work as a mechanic at a manufacturing plant in Nowhere, USA, and I have been for over a decade now. Before I got assigned to my current location, the only way to get coffee here was to either bring some from home or pay $1 at a vending machine to get the crappy cheap stuff. I decided to go with the first option, but took it even further by bringing my spare coffee maker from home and then bringing in the usual supplies periodically. I kept it in the mechanic's office in plain view. For the longest time, it was very apparent that I was the only one using my coffee maker, even though I never said it was exclusively for me. This went on for about a year until I got a partner on my shift who also drank coffee. We came up with the idea of starting a coffee fund by leaving a jar for spare change next to the coffee maker. Whenever we ran out of something like sugar or whatever, one of the two of us would use the accumulated change in the jar to help replenish our supplies. This was all well and good until my partner got promoted to maintenance supervisor some years later, making him my new boss, and I was by myself again. I left the jar sitting next to the coffee maker as usual and kept using the old routine. I also put a note on the side of the maker in plain view that said, "If you use the coffee maker, please put some spare change in the coffee fund jar so we can keep the supplies in stock." This was just in case someone from a different shift decided to use it when I wasn't there. However, one day I noticed that I was running out of sugar way too fast. I don't put much sugar in my coffee to begin with, so this told me someone else was using the coffee maker. Eventually, I noticed that all the supplies were getting too low too fast and not just the sugar. This normally wouldn't be a big deal, except I also noticed that the jar wouldn't accumulate like it used to. It either had the change I put into it, or someone would be taking change out but not restocking our coffee supplies. I put up with this for a little while, but eventually I got fed up with being the only one buying supplies for the coffee while one or more others were using it and taking money out of the jar. I took the coffee maker home and just started filling up my thermos with coffee and bringing it to work with me. About a week later, I get stopped in the aisle by a supervisor, not mine, as I'm trying to leave for the day. The following exchange occurs. Me is me, S is the supervisor. S. Hey, sethborf, what happened to the coffee maker? Did it break? Me. I was wondering who else was using it. Nah, it didn't break. I just got tired of people taking money out of the coffee fund jar without using said money to buy more supplies. I was still buying them out of pocket. S. You took it home? Me. Yeah, I've just been using my thermos to bring coffee. He cut me off. You can't just take company property like that. You weren't the only person using it. We all used it. Me. But it's my... He cut me off again. You either bring that back or I'm reporting this to my boss and we'll see what he's going to do about it. Me. I'll bring it in if people will actually contribute to the fund instead of me having to buy everything out of pocket. S. You'll do your job. Me. My job is to fix these machines, not be the company barista. S. It better be in there tomorrow or I'm going to my boss about it. He walks off before I can say anything else. The next day comes and I, of course, didn't bring my coffee maker back to the plant. At the end of the shift, S confronts me again. S. Sethborf, did you bring the coffee maker back? Me. Nah, I told you, I'm not going to be the only one supplying it. S. You can't just keep company property at home. That coffee maker has been in there for years and you need to bring it back. Me. I know it's been in there for years. It's been in there for as long as I've been here because I brought it from home. That's my coffee maker. S. I'm calling my boss right now and we'll see what happens to you. Me. Go ahead, I don't care. You can't tell me what to do with my personal property. I then walk out of my car and leave. While on the way home, my boss calls me. If you recall from earlier in the story, he used to be my partner. Even after his promotion, we remained close friends. The following conversation happens. B is my boss, former partner, and close friend. Me picking up the phone. Hey B, what's up? B. I just got off the phone with S. What's all this about you taking company property home? That's not like you, man. What's he even talking about? Me. He didn't tell you what it was? B. Nope. He just said you admitted to stealing company property and refused to return it. Me. Did you even ask what the supposed company property is? B. I did, but he wouldn't calm down enough to tell me. Looked like you really pissed him off. Me. Yeah, I know. Hey, you remember that coffee maker I had in the office way back when? B. Haha, yeah, the coffee fund, right? Did anyone else besides us start using that thing? Man, did I ever tell you I still haven't had a cup of coffee as good as how you made it back then? Why are you bringing this up anyway? Wait. Don't tell me that the company property S is referring to is... Me. Yeah, he's talking about my coffee maker. B. Look, Sethborf, I know that's your personal property, but I really don't want S raising a stink about this to management. Nothing will come of it if he does, but it will just be a big waste of time for them to investigate and eventually write up some stupid company-wide email about property theft and blah blah blah. Just bring it back. Me. I'm not going to be the only one supplying the coffee. B. How about this? Bring it back in, but keep a spare set of coffee supplies in your personal locker. Bring in some supplies for everyone to use it first, even use the coffee fund jar again, but after that initial stock, just only resupply for yourself. That way, if S or anyone else wants to use it, they are going to have to bring in their own supplies when that initial stock runs dry. Is that okay with you? Me. I think I'll do that. And that's what I did. The next day, I did as B asked, but I also kept additional supplies for myself in my personal locker. I didn't tell anyone else about this except for B. S confronted me yet again that same day. S. I see you brought the coffee maker back. Me. Yeah, B asked me to. S. You're lucky he didn't report you to HR for it. Me. Report me to HR. For a coffee maker. Yeah, okay. S. Whatever, now we can all have our coffee again, no thanks to you. Me. No thanks to me, yet it's my coffee maker. S. Don't get that tone with me, I'll call B and he'll straighten you out again. As planned, I let the initial coffee supply stock run dry without ever replenishing it. I also didn't contribute anything to the coffee fund jar. This took about a week, and there was never any change in the jar. S confronts me yet again. S: "Hey sethborf, we are completely out of creamer and sugar and the coffee tin itself is running low." Me: "Yeah, okay." S: "Don't you think you should get on that?" Me: "I'm not the company barista, S." S: "Okay, but we don't have any creamer nor sugar." Me: "Then buy some." S: "I thought you did that." Me: "Oh, me? No, I had surgery that prevents me from pooping out creamer. Bring your own." S: "Sethborf, you need to do your job." Me: "I do my job. What do you do?" S: "Seth." Me: "No, S, what do you do? Don't say your job, because your job isn't to pester someone to buy coffee supplies out of their own pocket, is it?" S: That's not very nice." Me: "You're right, it's not very nice at all. It's also not nice to complain to B because I won't bring my own personal property to work. Now is it?" S: "But we need coffee." Me: "Then bring your own. This isn't my job. If you want creamer, then you need to bring it in yourself. I'm not supplying the coffee anymore." S: "Sethborf, I'll call B again." Me: "Call him then. He'll tell you the same thing I just told you and you'll have wasted your time. Just like how you're wasting my time now. I'm going home. Have a good one." I start walking out. S: "Wait, come back." When I go in for my next shift, all the supplies are fully stocked and they remain that way for good. Someone else has taken the responsibility of resupplying the coffee. I even noticed the change in the jar regularly building up. I haven't contributed a single penny, but it's still filling up. Someone else has taken over handling the coffee supplies. I haven't asked who, but I think either S is doing it himself or he's got someone else doing it. It's free coffee for me, so I don't care either way. This story started frustrating me, like somebody just not getting it through their skull that it's their own personal property. How can you even demand that somebody would bring in their own personal property and spend out of their pocket for coffee? Alright, that's all the stories we have for today, so if you like the stories like this, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.